Welcome back to another Millennial in Debt Money Talk video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 money problems or money mistakes to avoid in your 30s, right? We are no longer in our 20s. Well, most of us are no longer in our 20s, and we don't want to do things the same way that we did when we were 22 as opposed to when we're 31, which I am now. It's okay, black don't crack. All right, so let's get right into the mistakes that we want to avoid so we can make sure our money is working the way it should, right? So the first thing that you want to avoid is not saving enough. Now, what that means is in our 20s, the financial gurus and advisors all told us, if you can save 10% of your income, then you're doing great, which is true. Right? You had to start somewhere. We have all these bills and things we were not ready for. However, in our 30s, the idea is that we are making more money. We're getting bonuses. We're more into our careers or our jobs. So that means as our money increases, our income increases, our savings should increase as well. So you want to go from 10% and move into the 20 and 30% category if you can, right? All of these tips and advice and mistakes that you want to avoid are all based off your financial situation. So if you can, cut out something that you don't really need in order to save more money because your income has increased, it is in your benefit to do so, right? So you want to try to get to the 20-30% mark. If you can max out your 401k, that's even better. In 2018, I believe you could you can add in $18,000 to your 401k. I'm not certain what it is for 2019, but by the time I edit and upload, I will know. All right. So do your best, your due diligence in order for you to add in as much money into your savings as possible. It'll also help you avoid spending on frivolous nonsense, things that you don't really need. The second thing that you want to avoid in your 30s is buying too much house. Now, what I mean by too much house, your income has to go to so many things: food, rent, clothing, right? Your housing should not take more than 26% of your income. You want to stay around the 20% range, but especially in New York, the rent is too damn high. It is rather difficult to do. So you do not want to spend more than 26% on your housing bills. That means your mortgage, that means your homeowner's insurance. And you also want to keep in mind if you are a homeowner, right? Because in our 30s, we're having kids, we're getting married. If you're a homeowner, it is not just mortgage and homeowner's insurance. You want to keep in mind renovation. You want to keep in mind taxes. You want to keep in mind a whole lot of things that you never had to think about when you were living at home or when you were renting. So when you are looking for a home or when you are purchasing a home, it is not in your best interest to go for the max of what you can afford, right? Or what the bank thinks you can afford. That's not going to work, right? What you want to do is you want to make sure you buy a smaller home that you can help grow and you can build, and it'll become your little nest, but you don't want it to make you cash poor, because that's a real thing and it's dangerous. The third thing you want to avoid in your 30s is not investing. In our 20s, we're still trying to figure things out. We're paying bills that we never had to pay. Hint, hint, Sally Mae, right? But now, as we're becoming more stable, as we're making more money in our jobs and our careers and building longevity into our lives, you want to make sure you start investing, right? Diversifying your portfolio, even if you're starting off small. If you're using apps like Acorn or Robinhood or E-Trade, Scott's Trade, all of the more known companies, they really help you to get started building out your investment portfolio. I know that my pension and my retirement plan, I put 20% of the money in there towards stocks. I was using Acorns at one point and E-Trade, but I had to buy furniture. But I'm getting back into the investing game, and if you haven't done so, I do have a link below in the description box of a couple of different ways you can start investing if you are a beginner, where it won't be too daunting and too much, because it can be scary. But you want to start investing and start building that portfolio, especially to kind of secure some form of passive income as you get a little older. The fourth thing that you want to avoid in your 30s, especially because, like I said, we're buying homes, we're getting married, we're having kids, is avoiding having a real live money conversation with your significant other. And that means pre-marriage, pre-moving in, it becoming serious, because a lot of the times relationships will put off, or significant others will put off discussing money because it's not sexy, it's not fun, it can be very uncomfortable, especially if one person is making substantially more than the other. It's not really a conversation people enjoy having, but it is a conversation that you must have, especially when you're moving in together, you're planning to have children, you're planning to get married. You need to know what your finances look like together. You need to know what your plans are for your future money. You need to know what your plans are for the money that you are coming in with, the debts that you both have, because you're becoming a unit. You're becoming one, which means your money is funneling into one, right? So you need to have that conversation pre-serious, decision making, in order to make sure you're both on the same track, the same road, same mentality, to have, more fruitful relationship. And that's the best and only relationship information advice you'll ever get from me. So moving on. The next money mistake that you want to avoid in your 30s is twofold, right? And that is not having disability insurance or life insurance, right? You can also get umbrella insurance. I think it's pretty similar, not 100% sure, but disability insurance will help to create like a safety blanket or a security blanket if you get injured and hurt and cannot work. Life insurance, we're getting older, unfortunately, we are passing away. I mean, not at super quick alarming rates, but life happens, right? And insurance can be annoying to pay, especially when you actually need them to pay out and they don't pay out the way you thought. But it's better to have insurance, especially for your loved ones. Life insurance will help cover a lot of the, or not, I'm not gonna say a lot, will help cover some of the costs to bury you or cremate you or whatever it is your final wishes are. Disability insurance will help kind of take some of the stress off if you get injured. No one really wants to worry about how they're going to pay for medical bills or how they're going to eat and survive or pay their bills if they can't go to work and gain a steady income. So these are two things you want to think about. Yes, it's another cost pulling away from your monthly income, but better safe than sorry, and you really want to do the best you can for your family and your loved ones. Another money mistake that you want to avoid in your 30s, and it's a really, really, really big one because I battle it every day, is complacency. Now, what that means is we're no longer really at entry level in our 30s, on occasion, but not often. Most of the time, majority of us are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possibly years into our careers or into our jobs or whatever we're into, and we get complacent. We're like, okay, I like my hours or I like my pay. However, you still need to be marketable, which means you still need to spend time learning new skills, crafting those new skills. You need to learn, have growth opportunities. I had a job interview at a company and I got the job this summer. And I didn't take it. And the reason I didn't take it, not because I'm complacent and I want to stay in my job, it's because I didn't like that they didn't really have any room for growth at the company. I didn't like that my commute time would take away from the quality of my life. I didn't like that the management wasn't really organized, right? So those things matter. And those are the things you want to think about, because if you don't love your job or if it's not the career of your dreams, you still need to be marketable, because at 31, you are not competing with the kids that are 21, 22, 23, who know all these skills, know all this technology, know all of the things that people are looking for, and you're 32 years old and washed. I'm a part of that group too. So spend time learning new skills. Do not let technology take you over to a point where you become obsolete. You want to keep up. You want to know what's going on, because you want to be able to go from job to job to job and still be able to say, look, my value, I'm worth X amount. And you want to think about health insurance. You want to think about your quality of life. You want to think about a lot of things that you can become complacent about if you just stay in one place and kind of just rest on your laurels. So make yourself marketable. Do not become complacent. That's a key life factor besides just financial factor, right? The next financial mistake that you want to avoid in your 30s is taking out more student loans. Very few jobs require to have a master's or a PhD. They say it's nice or it'll make you more money, and that is where they kind of get a little tricky, because you need to think about, what are you investing to get this $20,000 or $30,000 extra bonus in your salary, right? Because chances are you're going to be investing a lot of your time, especially if it's a PhD program. You want to think about, okay, I'm going to be spending 5 to 10 years earning this degree. What if you can't work full time? because you have to go to school part-time or you have to go to school full-time. Or how much is this degree going to cost you? If this degree is going to cost you more than $30,000 and a lot of that money is going to be debt, you might want to rethink that math. And that's what I've had to think about a lot, because I do eventually want to go and get my PhD, but I need to think about what it's going to cost me if it's going to cost me more debt that I just dug myself out of. So don't just run for your master's and your PhD. Yes, it looks great on paper, but you know what's also going to look great on paper? Having a zero balance, right? Having a zero balance in debt and just being able to spend your money the way you want to. Next financial tip that is something you really don't want to do when you're 30 is being unprepared for kids. Now, I don't have kids. I have 2 younger brothers. Those were the closest I came to having kids. And my friends have kids. My family have kids, whatever. I love them. But the fact of the matter is, I know that as much as I want kids, I would love to have a child right now. I do not have $250,000 to raise that child. That is the average that it costs to raise a child from birth to 18 years old. And then that doesn't even include college expenses and anything else that may arise. So I do not have the money to raise a child. I'm not currently prepared. I guess I'm going to have to get prepared at some point. But you need to, if you're getting married, buying a house, want to have kids, really financially prepare, because it's not just feeding them and clothing them. You know, you're gonna want to take them to activities. You're gonna want to go on vacation with them. You're gonna want to go on a date with your husband or your boyfriend or your fiance or whatever, and you're gonna have to pay for childcare. So these are just things you want to think about when you're creating life. Is you need to be prepared financially, emotionally, physically. Another financial mistake that you need to avoid in your 30s is creating an inflated lifestyle. Now, what I mean by an inflated lifestyle is we're 30, we're 31, we're making so much more money. So that means I can spend more money, right? I can go buy it. I can afford a Gucci bag. I love Gucci. I can afford a Louis Vuitton bag. I can afford a Chanel bag. I want them, but I'm going to have a credit card bill I have to pay. I'm going to have interest I'm going to have to pay. I won't be able to save as much money as I'm accustomed to saving. I won't be able to go on vacations and experience things I want to experience because I have a Prada bag on my shoulders. So, and living an inflated lifestyle, keeping up with the Joneses, don't think it's your next step in the trajectory of your life because you make $30,000 or $40,000 more dollars. I'm not telling you how much I make, but I make almost $50,000 more than when I first started teaching back in 2010. That does not mean that I spend $50,000 more. That means I save a lot more. So living an inflated lifestyle is not going to get me to the places I want to go, especially in my 30s and preparing for my 40s. So that's just something you want to keep in mind and think about. Another financial mistake that you really want to avoid in your 30s is inflated debt or inflated interest debt or high interest debt, whatever you want to call it. That means you need to avoid credit cards. You need to avoid car loans as much as physically possible. I know things happen. Right now I have about a $3,000 credit card balance, which I'm hopefully going to pay off in a few weeks. But I am very much aware that life happens and sometimes we just need that credit card to hold us over till payday. But you really want to avoid high interest debt because it is the worst to pay back and you want to hold on to your money. So try to avoid the credit cards if you can. We are at the last money mistake, because I said I was giving you 10. The last money mistake that you want to avoid in your 30s, and you knew it was coming, is not having an emergency fund. You're in your 30s. That means you have a decade worth of knowledge to know emergencies happen. I had to have surgery for my dog. I had to pay for surgery for my dog. I had to pay to fix my car. I had all these other things happen last minute. And I was like, wow, my bathroom cost an extra $7,000. So my emergency fund held it down in 2019. Now I'm replenishing it because emergencies happen all the time. You need to have at least $1,000, and that's the bare minimum, in an emergency fund to help cover expenses for things you did not see coming. Now that doesn't mean, oh man, my car registration is coming up, I'm going to use my emergency fund, or oh man, my homeowner's insurance is coming up, I'm going to use my emergency fund. No. That's what you need a sinking fund for. An emergency fund is, oh man, this tornado came and blew the roof off my house, or oh man, my car exploded, right? Those are emergencies. So you need to have an emergency fund. Need. It's not something that you want, it's something you need in your 30s and 40s and 50s, because emergencies never stop happening. And the moment you think you're good is the moment you're not. All right. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace.